back, take a look at this clip. We got Rhode Island students confronting their school leadership after their teacher was put on leave for calling Charlie Kirk a piece of garbage after his murder. Take a look.
As a people of the youth, we've decided to come up and give our perspective on the subject, considering it is our teacher and one of the people that will guide our futures. No matter what anyone says to me, I will never stand for violence, especially of a man who was publicly murdered in front of his wife, one of his children, thousands of students, and other bystanders. Charlie was not a racist, he did not hurt anyone sexually, and he did not kill anyone. Therefore, this was an unjustified cause of death that should never be celebrated. So if you ask me, Charlie's children do not deserve to grow up without their father. Charlie's wife did not deserve to lose her husband. Charlie did not deserve to lose his life because of a different opinion. But this teacher deserves to lose his job.
As civilians and people of our great country, we hold ourselves to a higher standard and to support, or worse yet, rejoice in violence. Someone who advocated for an arrested murderer and assassinator of one of the greatest debaters and free speakers of our time should have no place in the classroom, more so around young children.
As a student of Barrington High, I did not feel comfortable or safe with one of our teachers supporting violence. We believe this world needs God because something as cruel as this should never be celebrated. God bless Charlie Kirk and rest in peace, Mr. Kirk.
The kids, they demanded accountability. They weren't intimidated. These children aren't being brainwashed into silence. They're seeing what's going on, and they're having the courage to stand up. And that right there is the spark of a counterculture being born. And it's happening right where it needs to happen, with young people. You know, the very ones that the Democrats and these radical educators thought they had in their pocket. They're rejecting these freaks. How else can you say it? They're saying enough is enough. And they're doing what the adults in the room refuse to do. And that is powerful. That is the seed of a future that I believe will be much brighter and much stronger and more resilient. And it's not just happening in the classroom. I'm seeing it in the cultural sphere as well. Let's look at Jeffree Star, for instance. He's one of the most high-profile gay figures in America, someone who's got a massive following. He could have easily played it safe and just gone along with the radical left, chosen not to draw their rage, but instead, he's now dedicating his entire platform to calling these insane people out.
This new world where these people want to go into the women's bathroom with your guys' children, and we're gonna think that this is okay. That's the root. Imagine all the mothers in the chat right now. You're at Disneyland. Imagine you are a mother with children and you're at Disneyland and this thing comes in the women's restroom. Are you out of your mind? Are you out of your mind? But I'm a woman. Look, I'm wearing a dress. Huh? All my parents in the chat, do you want this person in the women's restroom? And society's trying to make that acceptable. In what world was I born in? Do you feel heavy that silences? I'm sick to my stomach. That is a grown man with a mustache telling Charlie that he wants to be called a she.
He's exposing their intolerance, their lies, their hypocrisy, their inhumanity, and it's resonating. Millions of people are listening. And it's a little bit ironic considering there's all this rhetoric coming from the left. You know, they're basically trying to label Charlie Kirk as an anti-gay bigot who said some deeply horrible things, and he basically brought it upon himself. Not to mention the shooter who shot him thought that he was an anti-LGBT bigot, and that was part of his motive. Yet here we have one of the most celebrated, most famous and successful gay people on the planet totally rejecting that notion and standing behind Charlie Kirk. Millions of people are listening. The message is now spreading far beyond political circles. And that might create a scenario here where the left completely loses its grip. You know, this is what happens when you push too far. This is what happens when your entire culture is built on hate, on silencing, on destroying anybody who you disagree with. Eventually, people will wake up. They'll rise up. You know, they'll realize who the real fascists are, who the real intolerant people are, who the real hateful bigots are. And I think that's what we're seeing. You know, obviously Charlie Kirk's death was tragic. It was a pure act of evil. But I guess in some way, there's a silver lining. It's now proving to be a spark. It's unleashing something bigger than the left could ever have imagined. And they're still in denial about this, by the way.